We've all heard about LeBron James' son, Bronny. My assumption has always been, hey, this class of 2023 kid is going to go straight to the league or G League Ignite or something. But now there's some talk that he might consider college. And I've seen a couple odds where Carolina's in the top 3. But Carolina hasn't even offered him anything and he's not been in for a visit. What's going on?
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, it's Thursday, August 25th, 2022. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Shade, and I want to thank you for making Locked On Tar Heels your first listen or your first watch every single day. Please don't forget that we're free and available anywhere you get podcasts, so make sure that you subscribe right now so that you get your team every day. Also, for those of you watching, if you would, smash the like button and leave some comments here as we talk about Bronny James. It's great to be joined today on Locked On Tar Heels by Sports Illustrated's Director of Basketball Recruiting, Mr. Jason Jordan. Always great to have him on. And we'd like to thank LinkedIn Jobs for being the official college recruiting sponsor across the Locked On College Network. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. Jason, man, it's great to have you. Listen, here's where we're going today. Like, this is kind of out of left field a little bit. But man, it just feels like there's all this Bronny James news popping up lately, and so I've been getting a lot of questions about it, and so I want to get it out there, talk about it, figure out what there is we know, what we don't know. It's awesome because you also wrote about it lately, and so a lot of people I think are just wondering things like, is he going to go to college? If so, where? Just all of that. What does it look like? Or are we changing the landscape? So I want to start by asking you about an article you wrote about him at the end of July. And you said this: SI polled 8 Power 5 head or assistant coaches sitting courtside at his game to see if they were or knew of anyone recruiting him. And 1, no one committed to the former, or 2, had definitive information regarding the latter. So let's start there, Jason. Unpack that for me.
Yeah, I mean, that was the million. It's his last summer Peach Jam. Everybody's like, we usually know if somebody's recruiting a kid in their last, especially in their last summer on the circuit. So that was kind of circulating around. So I just did my own little straw poll, and everybody was like, I don't know, are you recruiting him? I was like, no, I'm not recruiting him. I don't think he wants to be a sports writer. Yeah, nobody said, absolutely none of them said they were recruiting him. Now that has clearly changed in the last month and a half. I think what I've been told is that they've told people they're open. They're open because everybody believed that he's gonna work out for. I heard he's gonna work out for a year and just train for the NBA, and then I heard he's gonna go the pro route and take that route. So we'll see. I don't know. That's what at Peach Jam, that's what everybody was saying. No college, not doing it, no way. I still hear that more than I don't. Yep. But I've heard that they're gonna look at everything. So when you hear you're gonna look at everything, college coaches are like, cool, I'll play that. Yeah. I'll throw my hat in there a little bit. So I think that's what we're seeing with different offers popping up, and well, actually not offers, interest popping up. But again, you got to show me it's real. Go on a visit, go on the few visits you got, and to be clear, I think they will.
Okay.
And I think it'll be very strategic because I know the people that we're dealing with here, which they're very brand driven. So they're going to go on message, right? They're going to probably take some strategic visits and probably go from there. Do I think they're open to college? People I talk to don't think so.
Okay.
I don't, and for a bunch of different reasons. So yeah, we'll see. At Peach Jam, completely off the table now. I think there's some, there's been some messaging to make coaches believe that they're open to seeing that route.
That's so interesting. So then, Jason, if
Yeah.
you had to guess, do you think people haven't been diving into his recruitment more because they don't think that Bronny will go to college, or more because they don't want the circus of it all?
Meaning college coaches.
Yes, meaning college coaches not
Yeah.
diving into recruiting him.
Right. I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
I know some coaches that have said what you actually said. That's going to be a circus, man. I don't know if I want to deal with that. I've had other coaches say, I'd love to have him if they'll let him be who he is, meaning, and this is what this coach said, meaning, and I agree 100% agree with this, meaning if you're going to let him develop into potentially a really good college player, cool. I would love to have him. I think he'd be, because right now, at best, and this is not a knock, no shade.
Yeah.
I think he's a role player. I don't know that he's a role player from day one, but he's a role player in college. Like, I think, I think he could grow into a really good college point guard. But I don't think he's that day one on campus.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I've seen him play a lot. Like, I'm not talking about them highlights. And I'm not talking about him dunking on the kid from overseas at that overseas team that they played. I mean, I'm watching him play against 5-star kids. Yeah. And it's different. I mean, it's just the truth.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. And so obviously, like, as you're alluding to, Jason, he's not his dad talent-wise at this point, right? Look, I mean, and that's, as you said, that doesn't mean he's also not a terrible basketball player.
No, he's good.
Because let's be honest, Bronny is closer to LeBron than he is to me as a basketball player in the grand scheme of things. And so I would imagine the truth of where he falls is somewhere in between LeBron and me. Right? I mean, I worry that the hype or the negative hype is getting too overwhelming. Is that a thing?
So, it's funny. Do you see a lot of negative hype for him? I think he's very much adorned. I think people really like him.
I think I've heard it.
I don't see a lot of, now I'll say this,
Okay.
Mikey Williams, I use that as an example.
Yeah.
Famous players, more famous than I shouldn't say that. They're known for their fame, right? Mikey for whatever, and but the actual basketball, like Mikey gets hate. Like he gets some, and he's got that bravado with him.
Yeah.
He's a little, he brings it on a little bit too. But I've been courtside at his games, and man, some of the stuff I hear, I mean, they're waiting for him to miss a shot so they can be like, oh, you suck.
And I think that's more
terrible.
That's more what I'm getting at is because he's LeBron's kid, there's just this unfair weight upon him. Maybe that's a better way to approach it.
Yeah. But it is what it is. Like LeBron, like I said in the story, LeBron named him LeBron James Jr. He's not, he wasn't named Bronny. He took on that name himself. And he said that was one of his greatest regrets. But there's no way around it. Like back in the day, I did a story on Jeff Jordan, who is Michael's
son,
oldest kid. And it's the same thing. Like Mike was at all the games, and people are waiting to see your tongue hanging out and you doing the fadeaway. Like, why didn't you do that? Your dad did it. Why didn't you do it? Right. But I think people with Brady is different. Like, watching him play, I was standing next to a kid that was from Atlanta. Right. And I know that because I asked him. Right. And he was just cheering for Strive for Greatness. I mean, in the standing room only court. And he's like, come on, number 5. On Strive for Greatness. And so he's like, Bronny, give it to Bronny. Yeah, come on, number 5, you gotta finish that, man. He don't never finish the play. And I'm like, oh, he must be traveling with the team. I was like, so timeout. I said, hey man, are you from California? Did you come over with Strive? He's like, no, I'm from Atlanta. I was like, oh, okay. So you said he always drops that pass, like he follows them.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, man, I watch all their games. I stream all of them, man, because, I'm a big Brony fan. I said, why are you a Strive for Greatness fan? I'm not a Strive for Greatness. I'm a Brony fan. I was like, oh, so you're like a fan.
The brand.
Yeah.
You talked about the brand. Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
Like he was like on some, we need this win. This is like the B bracket of, it isn't even Peach Jam. Brady didn't play in Peach Jam. He played in the Peach Invitational. His team didn't win anything.
Yeah.
So they were playing on the B side of Peach Jam, which was called the Peach Invitational. Most people don't say that part. But this kid was like a diehard. He's 15. What do you know? Get out, go do some chores. Like he was mad. He was hot. I was scared for number 5.
Yeah.
So they love the kid, man. Like he gets love. Gets love.
Yeah. And I think that's a better way to get at what I'm asking is like, I think he probably like his dad is a polarizing figure, and a lot of people want, like your Atlanta boy, want to see him rise and succeed. And then there's other people who just want to see greatness fail. And that's what I've heard both sides of that story. So in just a second, Jason and I are going to talk more about, is it worth Carolina recruiting him? Can they get him on campus? All of these types of questions right after I tell you about LinkedIn. As you gear up for fall, you need the right people on your team to help your small business fire on all cylinders. LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier for you to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then, add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so that your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and ultimately hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus the leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know that every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Again, that's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Here with Jason Jordan, we're talking about LeBron James' son, Bronny James, who is a class of 2023 recruit in basketball. He's not his dad, but he is a really solid basketball player. And Jason, what I want to ask you next before we approach the Carolina angle is, can you put into words the pressure and the scrutiny that this young man is under, being LeBron's son?
Oh man, I'd imagine it's probably the worst. Like I said, I did a story on Jeff back in the day, and that was rough. But there was no Twitter, right? There was no Instagram, and no social media for the most part, right? So I could imagine they do a good job of keeping him insulated. Like Bronny has literally never spoken to the media, which I don't know how. I don't know. Even as a media guy, I think you got to expose him a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like I get controlling the story and stuff but you got to give him for what you want him to be. I think it would serve him well to get acclimated to the level where he can't control it. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't control the questions, but just be ready for him. And I think there's a growth curve that goes into that exposure. So I don't know. I feel like they maybe overthought that one. But hey, it is what it is. We all got kids. You're doing your best. So I'm not mad at that. But pressure-wise, yeah, man. I mean, every game is sold out, standing room only. At Peach Jam, the circus of all circuses, Bronny's a top 50 kid. Like, Bronny's probably not going to be in the McDonald's All-American game just off of talent. I think he's just too far out. Doesn't mean he's not good. I think he's a really good player. But all of his game, it was like the number 1 and number 2 kids were playing at his court every time. Why? Because LeBron was on court. They want to see LeBron's kid play, and LeBron was sitting courtside. And then that means Chris Paul is coming over there to watch his nephew, Bronny. All that stuff, and so so a lot of hoopla comes with it. And so it looks like to me that it weighs on him a little, especially when he's not playing well. And I think he's probably in that mode of overthinking. I imagine that all comes with it. So, I think to answer your original question, the pressure is probably something to a level I've never seen it before. Especially especially when, in one breath, LeBron's like, I want him to. I didn't want to give my name so he could create his own path. But then the next breath, he wants to play with him for a year in the NBA. It's like, well, let's just back him, ask a really dumb question. Is he good enough to go to the NBA for you to play with him?
Yeah.
Like, I think they, some things, they are, a lot of things are self-inflicted, but most of it is just, it is what it is.
Right.
You're LeBron's kid. It comes with the territory.
Yeah. And nobody's going to feel sorry for him because it's LeBron, you're part of LeBron's family. But I sympathize with it. Like, I can't feel it, right? Like, I don't know what he's going through, but man, that is so much for a young man to bear on his shoulders and in his life. Yeah. And you just asked the question, Jason, and so let me pose it to you. And maybe I'll pose it to you as you had in your article you wrote. You said that that Bronny has a rock star-like following because of his father, but does his game match the hype, was the question you asked. So I ask you your own question. Is he good enough at this point to make the NBA?
No.
Okay.
Did I hesitate?
No. I
don't want to hesitate.
No, you didn't. You were.
I mean, it sounds like shade, right?
It's not. I'm asking you a direct question, and
I want him to be. I want him to be the best player he can be.
100%.
Right? I'm rooting for him to succeed. Be clear, but I've seen him a lot, and no. I can't say now. Could he go and make the NBA and be like, Jason, you were wrong?
Yeah,
you were wrong
absolutely,
about everything.
absolutely.
But based off what he shows me on the court, I don't look at him and say, now I'm going to do this. Now take away that he's LeBron's son.
There we go.
So now he's just John Jackson, right? The number 6, John Jackson. You know what I would say about him? And I've had this conversation with multiple coaches. The NBA guys were there too. So I've had this conversation with multiple NBA scouts. Now, and they would pose it to me, take away that he's LeBron's kid. What would you say about him? I say, you know what I would say? I would say, number 6, yeah, he's gonna be all right. He's gonna be all right. He'd be a good piece. He'd be a good piece on the team, right? Which is a great compliment.
Yes.
Do I think they'll let him be that? No, I don't. And I think that might be a mistake. I think if you're gonna let him be who he's destined to be, let him go be a 4-year guy and see what happens. Maybe he leaves early. I don't see him as a one and done kid. No, I don't think any NBA scout. I'm not talking about these highlights they put all over Twitter. I saw a story there where he's projected to be another late first round pick based on, I guess, I don't know. And I want him to be clear. I want him to be all he can be.
Yes.
Almost like the Army.
Yes.
But based on what I've seen him multiple times, I don't see that right now. And I don't know. I guarantee you, I've talked to 15 plus NBA teams that were there at Peach Jam, and none of them, they all say the same thing. Like, I don't see that. It's not like I'll take your guy, Simeon, right? Ask me the same question about Simeon. Hey, do you think he's going to be an NBA player? Yes. I'm not going to hesitate. Yes, he's going to be in the NBA. He'll play in the NBA, for sure.
And like you said, that's not shade. You're just answering a direct question about a young man's talent as a basketball player. And that's what we have 100%. To do. We can't just, say things because we think it'll be what people want to hear. Yeah. We have to be honest about our observations of a young man's basketball capability.
Yeah, I mean, he trains like a pro. Like he has, his movements and his feel. I could see with more spacing and stuff like, somebody made that pitch. I could see that. Like I could see his game growing as he levels up. But this is why I don't know that he'll. I mean, you go to North Carolina. Let's say he goes to Carolina, right? Well, the control's over. Now Carolina's got him. But they say, what did my man say on the movie? I'm the captain now. Right?
That's right, Captain Phillips. There you go.
Right, you gonna respect LeBron. Hubert will respect LeBron.
Absolutely.
I got him. But you got to trust me. That's gonna be the conversation. You have to trust me. I'm gonna do what's best for him. Yeah. But it's gonna be within my system. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's not gonna be, And I honestly think let's say he goes to. I think he should go someplace like North Carolina, where he's gonna be flooded with talent, and he can go a place where he can hide deficiencies. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, because if you can't key it, I don't think he should go anywhere where the defense can key in on him. I don't think that's smart. And I don't think they would do that. If they choose the college route, I think he'll go where he's flooded with talent.
Yeah. So
where he can play a role.
Yeah.
And look good.
Yeah. So let's unpack that further then, Jason, because as I told you before we started recording today, I was like, I don't think we'll probably ever talk about Bronny James on Locked On Tar Heels because, he's going to go to G League or do whatever. But now, like in the past week, I've seen two different betting sites, one of whom is our own partner here at Locked On, Bet Online, who have put out a list of odds for where Bronny James will go to college if he does. So here's the Bet Online wins. UCLA 1-1 odds leading the way. Oregon 5-4, followed by Carolina third, and then UCLA, Michigan State, Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, Ohio State, Michigan. There was another group, Bovada, that put out some odds. That one's pretty similar. Oregon at -200 first overall, then Carolina, then UCLA. So the top three is the same, just in a different order. And then Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, Ohio State. So, I mean, this list is about as blue bloods can be, right?
Right.
And so now your article, going back to it, said that the James camp has been very tight-lipped, has done a great job sealing up leaks. I mean, is there anything out there about, he's going to take a visit here or he legitimately is going to go to campus here?
No. And I mean, that's not on the books right now for sure. And knowing them, I mean, that'll come from their camp unless the coaches leak it to guys like me, right? Yeah. I don't think that would serve them well, but that happens. You know what I'm saying? I like I said, I think he will take visits.
Okay.
I think LeBron probably wants him to have the full, the full scope of and the full experience of being a high level kid. Because at the end of the day, he still is a high level kid. Yeah. Top 50 is good. That's really good. Yeah. Think about the country. So I think it'll be strategic. I think if you're not a blue blood, you know what? I could see LeBron doing like an Akron visit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I could see that. Or looking out for somebody, maybe even visiting an HBCU. I can see that. I don't know that it means he's gonna go to any of these schools. Even UCLA. Because at the end of the day, here's the thing. Your marketing is always bigger. And I tell kids this too. If you're trying to maximize on marketing, a little marketing 101 for you.
Here we go.
Don't be definitive one way or the other. Leave mystery, right? So if you're like, I'm ready, man. I'm sick of this. I want to go. But on the other hand, you're like, we need to market this and do this and this and that. Okay, well, so you're going to Carolina? You are? Okay, cool. So then you're going to go on a visit to Duke, UCLA, Kentucky, and then you're going to say, I don't know. Oh, man, what a visit. And you're going to have the red carpet rolled out for you, and then you're going to eat steak and lobster and all that stuff, right? But in the back of your mind that you're going to North Carolina, right? So you just know that, and you have fun on these visits, and we're going to build the hype. You got to remember, this is the guy that had something called The Decision with the boys club in the background.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And he said, I'm taking my talents to South Beach, right? So, it's going to be a production. And I think at the end of it, and they need the right fan bases for the production. That's why it's going to be heavy blue blood for these visits. And, I think in the end, at least right now, in the end, I think it's too risky for what they want. For the path they want to take, I think it's too risky for him to go to college. Yeah.
So if I was asking you point blank, same thing I asked you about the NBA. If I asked you today, is Bronny James going to college? You would say,
No.
Okay.
No.
Now, we did this a couple weeks ago. Let me ask you to put your coach's hat on. If you are a high-level D1 coach at one of the Power 5 schools and Big East, would you invest any amount of time in recruiting Bronny?
So I would do my due diligence,
Okay.
right? I'd do back channel conversations and say, hey, man, come on now, don't waste my time. No, we're probably, and I'm sure this is how it goes, right? I know coaches do this and have inquired. And it's kind of like, no, you got to remember, we're talking about, you got to look at it from a coach's perspective. It's like, it'd be great and he'd be a great piece. But, I mean, is he helping me win the NCAA title in year one? Probably not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what am I getting from this other than, in all likelihood, being the loser in this? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
So these is when you have to think about that. So it's like, yeah, I don't want to, it's LeBron, and yeah, I respect LeBron, right? And his kid wants to come visit. If he wants to come visit, I'm gonna let him visit.
Cool. Yeah.
Right. But I'm not gonna put the full court press on, because I probably can't talk to him anyway. You know what I'm like? I don't have his number. I can't just text him and say, hey man, did you see that new Drake album? Well, Drake comes to our Midnight Madness. Don't you want to meet him? Oh, you mean the same Drake that ate dinner with me last night at Taco Tuesday? You know what I'm saying? Like, what we doing?
He's in those circles already. Absolutely, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So, you have to really weigh out the benefit of this for a player that, is good, but I don't know that he's gonna make you go to the Final Four or keep you from the Final Four in year one.
Is the return on investment worth it? That's the bottom line you got to answer.
Yeah.
So, Carolina fans, here's what this means for all of you tuning in. From everything we're hearing from Jason, the greatest wisdom is that, sure, Hubert Davis would be dumb not to do his due diligence along with the rest of the coaching staff. But at the end of the day, Bronny James is probably not a Tar Heel and probably not an NCAA college basketball player of any kind. Now, as Jason said, crazier things have happened, so we're going to have to wait and see. We'll follow this as it all unfolds. Jason Jordan, as always, man, thank you so much for being here and for all your great insights and wisdom.
Indeed, man. I always have pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Well, that's it for today's episode of Locked on Tar Heels. My thanks, as always, to Jason Jordan for joining the show. Coming up tomorrow, it's Game Preview Friday. Former North Carolina quarterback Bryn Renner is joining me. Going to have a great conversation with him. It's going to be wonderful. Thanks so much for hanging out. Please, if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe to the show on YouTube or wherever you're listening. Smash the like button and leave some comments about Bronny James. You can follow the show on Twitter at Locked on Heels. You can follow me at Isaac Shade. And you can follow Jason at Jason Jordan SI. Get more on the ACC by making Locked on ACC your second listen of the day. Host Candace Cooper and the local experts of Locked On take you around the conference in 30 minutes, 5 days a week. Yeah, it's been great to be together here on Thursday, just like less than a couple days until Carolina kicks off against Florida A&M. Boy, oh boy, it's a great time to remind you that it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. Until tomorrow, peace!